What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another super simple raid guide. This one is for Tempest Keep. We're going to give you only the information that you need to get these bosses down. So without further ado, let's get into our first boss, ALAR. So what you do for ALAR is we had 3 tanks spread out in the west, north, and east sides of the room on the little platforms. If you're up top, you want to make sure that you're on the edge so that the ranged and healers that are stacked down below can hit ALAR and the heals can reach melee DPS and the tanks. The boss is going to land in the left location if you misdirect from a hunter into that tank. He's going to rotate around these sections in a clockwise fashion. The next tank in line will then pick him up. There is no threat drop at this time, so keep that in mind. Every time that ALAR rotates position, he's going to spawn an ember, an ad that spawns under the platform that he was just on. So whatever tank was just tanking him should jump down and tank that ad. Make sure to keep that ad away from the raid group. On death, they do explode, so range is going to be the only ones DPSing this ad down, but they die very quick. As you can see here in our video, I ran over to the right side now and I'm waiting in the 4th position for ALAR to come over to me. You're going to pretty much repeat this. Just make sure you have a tank ready to pick up ALAR every single time. If there's no tank on ALAR or no one in range, ALAR is going to flame buff it the entire raid. So make sure a tank is in position at all times. Eventually, ALAR is going to cast flame quills, meaning everyone up top needs to jump down into the middle. If you're up top, you will get burned alive. Pretty much for the entire first phase, you're going to just repeat this until you kill ALAR for the first time. Once you kill ALAR, everyone jumps down to the center and ALAR is going to be reborn in the middle of the room. You're going to want a tank to pick it up. Now, the way that we did this is we had 3 tanks. 2 tanks that were on ALAR. So the main tank is tanking ALAR, and when you get melt armor on you, the second tank needs to taunt and then hold ALAR until melt armor is off of you. You're basically just taunting back and forth to avoid tanking ALAR while having the melt armor debuff. Throughout this entire phase, our 3rd tank was picking up the ads spawning around the room, and we're killing those away from the raid as well. You're going to avoid fire on the ground, and then when ALAR casts Dive Bomb and goes up in the air, you're going to spread out to mitigate damage from this. Ads are going to spawn throughout this entire phase. Again, make sure you're killing them away from the group, dodging fire on the ground, and spreading for Dive Bomb. ALAR will go down with ease. Up next, we have VOIDREAVER. VOIDREAVER is pretty easy. So basically, the way you're going to want to do this, you're going to want to take the entire raid, except for 1 or 2 hunters, and you're going to put the main tank on follow and all run in at the same time. Your 2 hunters are going to be standing on opposite ends of the raid, far away from the raid. This is because he's going to cast an arcane orb at them. Basically, all they're going to do is move to the side, dodge the arcane orb, and then go back to their original position. The rest of the raid has the tank on follow as you run in. The tank's going to run through the boss and turn him around, whereas the rest of the raid, the melee DPS, the ranged, and the healers are going to stack right behind VOIDREAVER, and this is going to be your positioning for the entire fight. If you have 3 tanks, all 3 tanks should be fighting for threat here. They should be the top 3 threat on VOIDREAVER because he's going to knock back the main tank, drop threat, and switch to the next tank in line. At this time, melee might take some big damage, but it wasn't anything that we couldn't heal through. This fight is pretty simple. It's all about positioning. And I'm telling you right now, please do not underestimate how important it is to put your main tank on follow. The entire raid should put the main tank on follow and all run in at the same time. The tank turns the boss around and you guys are standing right behind VOIDREAVER. Again, those hunters need to be positioned on the sides of the raid, pretty far away, pretty much max range to bait those arcane orbs out, but that's it. This fight is very simple. Up next, we have SOLARIAN. The boss is going to stay in the middle and randomly arcane missile people in the raid. Ranged can all stack up. When you get Wrath of the Astromancer, run out of the raid, treat it like a living bomb from Baron in Molten Core. Ads will spawn every minute or so, just AoE them down and then kill the 2 big ads that spawn with the boss. If one of the ads is a priest and is far away, you're going to just have a mage counterspell to bring it in. At 20%, she's going to change into a Voidwalker, and then she's going to cast an AoE Fear that fears the melee and the tanks. So you want to get Tremors and Fear Wards out accordingly. Other than that, this boss is pretty much a freebie and goes down very easily. Up next, we have KAEL'THAS. Now, this fight isn't hard, it's just long and there's a lot of mechanics. So in the first phase, each of these mini bosses are going to spawn 1 at a time. Thaladred is going to be first. Now, Thaladred, you're going to want to kite all the way to the back of the room. He fixates on 1 player, so you're going to want to have your raid positioned to the back of the room where you came in. This is where you're going to want to kill him. Do not kill him too early because when they respawn later on, it'll make it a lot harder for yourself. Make sure your raid is kiting him all the way to the back, and you're going to burn him down again at the entrance of the room. The next boss that's going to come up is Sanguinar. I pick him up here as a tank and I pull him over to the left wall. You're going to want to tank and kill him over here. He does fear, so Tremor Totems help with this, and getting a fear ward on whatever tank is tanking him really does help. He's going to die over here in this corner, and then Copernican is going to spawn. When Copernican spawns, you're going to have one of your Warlocks take off Salvation, this way they can hold threat, and they're going to max range her and spam Searing Pain to generate a bunch of threat. Once the Warlock has enough threat, the rest of the ranged DPS can start blasting her down. If you're within 30 yards of Copernican, you're going to get conflagged and get massive damage dealt to you and be disoriented. So just have your Warlock max range her here, and range stays off to the side and burns her down in place where she spawned. Next in line is going to be Telon. We had our prop paladin pick him up and pull him and tank him and kill him over where Sanguinar is dead on the ground. He throws bombs, so you guys are going to want to lightly spread for this, but they don't do that much damage, so I wouldn't worry. He dies very, very quick, and that is the end of Phase 1. So when Phase 2 begins, a bunch of weapons are going to spawn right at the beginning of the room. You're going to want to pretty much stack all of these weapons together. One of your tanks, it's me here in the video, pulls the Devastator out, which is the big axe, the two-handed axe, and tanks it away from the raid because it does a whirlwind. This is going to be the last one to die. Every other weapon gets stacked and cleaved down except for the bow. You're going to want to have a hunter grab aggro on the bow and slightly pull it out and face it away from the raid. Other than that, you AoE these all down, then kill the bow, and then kill the axe, and then we're ready to move into the next phase. This phase, all of the adds from Phase 1 are going to respawn, but before they respawn, you're going to want to run over to the pile of legendary weapons on the ground and pick up your respective weapons. As a tank, I pick up the shield, but for someone like a rogue or a fury warrior or arms warrior or even hunters, you're absolutely going to want to make sure you pick up the dagger, because the dagger helps you break mind controls later on in the fight. Obviously, your casters are going to pick up the staff, and so on and so forth. So once you've picked up your legendaries, you're basically going to kill them in the same way that you killed them in Phase 1. The only difference is they're all up at the same time now. This phase can get a little bit chaotic, but just focus up and you'll get them down. Once all the adds are down, KAEL'THAS will engage and run to the front of the stage. You're going to want a tank there to pick him up immediately and have a second tank generating threat just in case the main tank goes down. You're going to want someone there also right off the rip that has an interrupt to be able to kick Fireball. You're going to want to kick every Fireball that you possibly can, because they do have the ability to one-shot tanks. You're going to stand here, you're going to have one tank highest on threat, second tank maintaining second threat, and DPS interrupting Fireball. This is where you're going to want to Bloodlust and start blasting KT down. He's going to periodically cast Mind Control on the raid. This can hit anybody in the raid, including tanks. So what's going to happen is that dagger that we picked up earlier, if you were a Fury Warrior, Rogue, Arms Warrior, or a Hunter, you're going to be responsible for breaking the mind controls. If someone gets mind controlled in melee range, the melee with the dagger is going to turn around and just auto-attack them to break the mind control. If you're a Warrior, you can Whirlwind, and the Hunters are going to be responsible for breaking mind controls in the ranged group. They could Wing Clip, and this should break it immediately. KAEL'THAS will also put a shield on himself and begin casting Pyroblast. If you have enough DPS, you can burst this shield down and then kick the Pyroblast. If for some reason you don't get the shield down and can't interrupt the Pyroblast, the tanks that picked up the legendary shield earlier can use that shield, the on-use effect, to absorb that Pyroblast and not die. Aside from that, throughout this entire phase, Phoenixes are going to be spawned, and you're going to want to DPS those down away from the raid. Pretty much kite it around the outside of the raid. It's going to turn into an egg when you kill it, and then you're going to want to target and kill the egg. At around 50%, this is where KAEL'THAS is going to phase yet again. Now, once you've made it this far, you've pretty much got the boss down. In this phase, he's going to cast Gravity Lapse, which is going to make the entire raid fly in the sky. Just make sure you don't touch the ground, otherwise you'll take damage and get launched way up into the air. He's also going to cast Nether Beam, which bounces between players, so you're going to want to lightly spread here. After Gravity Lapse ends, you'll be back on the ground, your tank's going to pick him up, and you're going to burst him down and end the fight. That's pretty much it. The fight isn't that hard, it's just long and there's a lot of mechanics, so it may take your guild a few pulls to kind of understand what's going on. But I hope this video was able to help you guys. If it did, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you love Classic WoW just as much as me, and feel free to come give me a follow and hang out over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/hammerdance. I stream Monday through Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.